dear student, today we will start our 7th chapter of history, new questions and ideas. So let's start with the story of the Buddha. Siddhartha is the birth name of the founder of Buddhism. He is also known as Gautam Buddha, and he was born about 2500 years ago. This was a time of rapid change in the lives of people. Many thinkers were trying to understand these changes in society. They also wanted to try and find out the true meaning of life. The Buddha belonged to a small gun known as the Shakya gun and was a Kshatriya. Gautam Buddha was a Kshatriya. When he was a young man, he left the comforts of his home in search of knowledge. He wandered for several years, meeting and holding discussions with other thinkers. He finally decided to find his own path to realization and meditate for days on and under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar, where he attained enlightenment, जहाँ पे गौतम बुद्ध को ज्ञान की प्राप्ति हुई. After that, he was known as the Buddha or the Wise One. He then went to Sarnath near Varanasi, where he taught for the first time. He spent the rest of his life traveling on foot, going from place to place, teaching people till he passed away at Kushinara. Kushinara, it is located in UP. The Buddha taught that life is full of sufferings and unhappiness. This is caused because we have so many desires. Sometimes even if we get what we want, we are not satisfied and want even more. He also taught people to be kind and to respect the lives of others, including animals. He believed that the results of our actions called karma. The Buddha taught in the language of ordinary people, Prakrit, so that everybody could understand his message. So the language of Buddha was Prakrit. Our next topic is Upanishad. Upanishad means approaching and sitting near, and the text contain conversation between teachers and students. Often ideas were presented through simple dialogues. Most of the thinkers were men, especially Brahmins and Rajas. Poor people rarely took part in these discussions. One famous exception was Satyakam Jabala, or you can say Jabal. सत्यकाम जबाल का नाम उसकी दासी माँ के नाम पर पड़ा. सत्यकाम के मन में ट्रुथ मीन्स सत्य को जानने की बहुत जिज्ञासा थी. गौतम नामक एक ब्राह्मण ने उसे अपने विद्यार्थी के रूप में स्वीकार किया और बाद में जाके वो बहुत बड़े थिंकर्स साबित हुए. Our next topic is Jainism. Vardhaman Mahavir was the last and 24th Tirthankar of the Jains. He also spread his message around 2500 years ago. He was a Kshatriya prince of the Lichavi, a group that was a part of Vaji Sangh. He left home and went to live in a forest. For 12 years, he led a hard and lonely life, at the end of which he attained enlightenment. He taught a very simple doctrine, means principle. Men and women who wish to know the truth of life must leave their homes and they follow the rules of ahimsa, which means not hurting or killing living beings. Ordinary people could understand the teaching of Mahavir and his followers because they used Prakrit language. At that time, Prakrit was the language of ordinary people. Followers of Mahavir, who were known as Jainas, had to lead very simple lives, begging for food. They had to be honest and were especially asked not to steal anything. Also, they had to observe celibacy, and men had to give up everything, including their clothes. It was very difficult for most men and women to follow these rules, but thousands of them left their homes to learn and teach this new way of life. Jainism spread to different parts of North India and to Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The teachings of Mahavir and his followers were transmitted orally for several centuries. They were written down in the form in which they are presently available for us at a place called Vallabhi in Gujarat. So, it is there in Gujarat. Let's discuss the next topic, the Sangh. Both the Mahavir and the Buddha felt that only those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. So they arranged for them to stay together in the Sangh. Sangh means an association of those who left their homes to gain true knowledge of life. The rules made for the Buddhist Sangh were written down in a book called the Vinay Pitak. From this, we know that there were separate branches for men and women. All men could join the Sangh. However, children had to take the permission of their parents and slaves that of their master. They meditated for most of the time and went to cities and villages to beg for food during fixed hours. That is why they were known as bhikshus and bhikshusnis. They taught others and helped one another. They also held meetings to settle any quarrels that took place within the Sangh. Those who joined the Sangh included Brahmins, Kshatriyas, merchants, laborers, etc. Many of them wrote down the teachings of the Buddha. Some of them also composed beautiful poems describing their life in the Sangh. We will see the meaning of monasteries. Monasteries means the permanent shelters for the nun and for the monks. These were known as viharas. The earliest viharas were made of wood and then of brick. Some were even in caves that were dug out in hills, especially in the western India. Often, the land on which the viharas were built was donated by a rich merchants or a landowner or the king. The local people came with gift of food, clothing and medicines for the monks and nuns. In return, they taught the people. Over centuries, Buddhism spread to many parts of the subcontinent and beyond the subcontinent. Now we will see the system of ashrams. 4 ashrams were recognized. The first one is Brahmacharya, second one is Grihastha, third is Vanprastha, and the fourth is Sannyas. Brahmins, Kshatriya and Vaishya men were expected to lead simple lives and the study of Ved during the early years of their life, which is called Brahmacharya. Then they had to marry and live as householder, which is known as Grihastha. Then they had to live in the forest and meditate, that is called Vanprastha. And finally they had to give up everything and become sannyasi. The system of ashram allowed men to spend some part of their lives in meditation. Women were not allowed to study the Ved and they had to follow the ashrams chosen by their husbands.